everybody. It is Wednesday again. This is the Wednesday weekly learning session from local bartending school. My name is Carlos Navia. I do this every Wednesday. I've been doing it at our new time, which is 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern time. You are always welcome to be a part of this class and be a part of the Zoom call. Ask me any questions about anything. If you go to the link on Facebook for local bartending school, it'll send you to a page. If you're already an enrolled student, when you get to the drop-down menu, you can pick that you're already an enrolled student. It'll take you directly to the link to this class. If you're not an enrolled student in local bartending school, it will ask you for a little bit of information. Then it will give you the link to this class. You're always welcome to join us any Wednesday. So I've been a professional bartender for 20 plus years in several different states, 2 different countries. I've been training bartenders for local bartending school for almost 10 years now. So I do one-on-ones. I do this every Wednesday. If you're enrolled in the classes, you might recognize me from some of the online videos as well. So this is the Wednesday weekly learning session for October 26, 2022. And of course, we got a holiday coming up, not really this weekend, it's coming up on Monday, but we've got Halloween. Big party, big, holiday celebrating All Hallows Eve. November 1st is the Day of the Dead. It was changed to All Saints Day at some point. So the night before, they would dress up in costumes to fool the ghost, make them think that they were demons and ghosts as well. So that's what we kind of celebrate here, when we get into talking about Halloween. So Halloween being on a Monday, what we're going to see this weekend is a lot of people that basically take the party all weekend long. They're going to start partying on Halloween on Friday, and many people are not going to stop till sometime Monday night. So realize that we're going to have a lot of people out trying to have a good time, and partying this weekend. Pay attention. Pay attention to the signs of intoxication. I talk about rookie nights sometimes, and this can be one of them. New Year's Eve, St. Patrick's Day, the biggest rookie nights. And what I mean by that is it's the nights where you get a lot of people that go out that don't necessarily go out and drink. They don't know their limits. They don't know how much they can drink. They don't know how to handle themselves when they're going out. And we're going to see a lot of that out this weekend. So just remember that, if you have to cut someone off, you have to cut someone off. Most people take it very, very well. Get a manager, let someone have your back, let all the other employees know, we don't keep it a secret. That guy or that girl, they're done. So they're not getting a drink from another employee. Like I said, most people take it very well, offer them food, offer them a non-alcoholic beverage, something like that. But, don't be afraid to ever cut someone off. It is against the law to serve someone that's obviously visibly intoxicated. You will get into trouble. So cut them off, get them out of there. If they've had enough, get them a ride, get them a lift, get them an Uber, something home to get them out of there. So what are we talking about when we're starting to look for the signs of intoxication? First sign, people will start complaining that they don't taste alcohol in their drinks. And that's usually the first sign that they probably reached their limit. They probably had enough. We practiced our pour. We know we're hitting the right amount. We know we're putting the same amount in each drink. So when they start saying that they're not tasting alcohol, it's because your tongue kind of gets pickled. At some point, all you really taste is alcohol in your mouth. You don't taste the alcohol in the drinks. And once you've kind of gotten to that level, you're probably going to taste alcohol most of the next day too. That's all you're going to taste. You kind of pickled your tongue. So that's one of the first signs that person's probably reached their limit. They've probably had enough. Slurred speech, also with your tongue. Your tongue swells up when you drink. It makes it hard to talk. You start to slur your speech. Another thing, volume control. Drunks tend to get very loud and talk over everybody else, because they feel like they have something that is so important that everybody else has to hear it, even though it's probably just nonsense. So they start getting loud when they start talking over people. Yeah, that person's getting a little tipsy. That person's probably reached their limit. Loss of balance, they're starting to fall over. They're starting to trip. And you run into this from time to time where, you have someone that's a little stumbly, falling over. And hey, person's had enough, that person needs to leave, and someone goes, oh, it's okay, I got him, I've got her. No, it's not okay. It's not okay to have that person in the bar that's lost their balance, I've got him, I've got her. It doesn't really work. At some point, that person's going to get up, they're going to fall down, they're going to hurt themselves, or even worse, they're going to knock someone else's table over, they're going to knock an elderly person or a young child over and hurt them. Once a person's at that place, you kind of got to get them out of the bar. They've had enough. It's time for them to go. It's time for them to leave. And then there's always, making friends with people who don't want to make friends with you. And this happens from time to time. A lot of times it can be older gentlemen hitting on younger girls, but it does go the other way. And I've been through, kind of the different types of this that happens. But yeah, and you get that every once in a while. Will someone kind of wave you over like, he's not with you? No, he is not with us. Can you please get him out of here? And just be tactful. Hey, they're not interested. Why don't you come back to the bar and, have a drink, whatever. Be tactful, be nice, and kind of get them out of that situation. So make sure that we're paying attention. We want everybody to come out, have a good time, be safe, get home safely, and come back next weekend and enjoy themselves. The other thing that's going to be big this weekend, and especially where I live, particularly in San Luis Obispo, California. I live next to a very large college, Cal Poly here. It is a big event here. The college kids really like to dress up. There's going to be some good parties here this weekend, probably on my street, because I live sorority house 2 doors that way, frat house 2 doors that way. So I'm kind of right in the middle of it here. But the other big thing that's going to be out there and that bartenders have to be aware of this weekend is making sure that we're not serving anyone underage. And it's going to be a big thing, out where I live, because there's going to be a lot of people in costume. It can make it difficult to see, someone's age when they've got a mask, when they're disguised, when they're made up, something like that. So make sure that we're being diligent about checking IDs. So 2 things that can get you into trouble as a bartender. 2 big things that get you in trouble as a bartender: serving someone that's obviously visibly intoxicated and serving someone that's underage. So we want to make sure that we're IDing diligently and we're doing a good job. Some water. So when we talk about IDs, we'll kind of go through just the 5 points that ID, the 5 things you want to look for. Go to ask someone for their ID. Be nice about it. Not, hey, you got ID, like I see a lot of people do where I live. No, sure, I'll be happy to get that drink for you. First, I just have to check your ID to make sure you're 21. Acceptable forms of ID. Driver's license from any of the 50 states is acceptable. It has to be government issued. All 50 states also issue a identification card. Looks just like a driver's license. You just can't drive with it because not everybody drives a car. So that is acceptable. A passport from any country is acceptable. A military ID is acceptable. And my wife used to use her green card, which was her United States issued identification as a resident alien of the United States, and it has all the information required. So that's acceptable as well. So someone comes to the bar, they order a drink. I'm not sure if they're 21. I'm sure I just need to check your ID. They just kind of flip open their wallet. They've got it in a little holder there. You need to make them take it out, hold it in your hand. That's point number 1. Hold it in your hand, feel it. Feel it for anomalies. Feel it for anything on there. It won't really pick it up on this camera, but this is my old ID. It's bent in half, or I fell asleep with it in my pocket. It's also got a little bubble here over the picture that you can kind of feel. I would not take this ID. It's got a bubble over the picture. Something is off about it. Something is wrong about it. The other thing is it should be pristine and not coming apart at the sides. Talk a little bit about fake IDs when I go through the 5 steps, but this is my California ID. I've kept it in my pocket for years and it does not fray. It does not come apart. I did the same thing with my Chase Bank card and I turned it into confetti. It peeled apart. It came apart. It was destroyed within, a year. Doesn't happen to the ID. So if it's coming apart, anything at the edges like that, it's not a real ID. It's not good. Real estate IDs will not come apart like that. So feel in your hand, make sure it's good. The other thing I think is kind of funny, and this one gets me because I've seen some other people where I live pick up on this one too. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a kid open his wallet and I can see the ID right there in the wallet and they reach to the back and pull something from the back. Nobody keeps their real ID in the back of their wallet, especially if I can see an ID right there in the front. So someone opens it up, you see an ID in the little holder, and they reach to the back, they're giving you a thing. It's not their real ID. No one keeps their real ID in the back of their wallet. So feel it, hold on to it. Also, while I'm holding it, I can get a really good feel for the person in front of me. If that person is supposed to be there, they're not going to be nervous at all. They're not going to be twitchy. Sometimes I have people do this. I'll be looking at their ID and they'll start pointing. Oh, birthday's right there. Birthday's right there. It's like, whoa, man. I can read. I can see where the birthday is. I don't need you to point it out to me. They do that. It just makes me think they're trying to distract me from something else. Now I'm going to scrutinize and examine this ID even more because they're pointing to it like that. If I have a dozen 20-something-year-olds in front of me, I will take all their IDs at the same time. Hold them in my hand, give them a shuffle, and just start calling them out. Who's Jason? Who's Sarah? Because I don't want to take one ID and then it ends up, in someone else's hand by the time I get to the 12th person. Everybody's got to have an ID at the same time. I'm going to hold them all at the same time and go through them. The other thing that kind of goes with that too, you know, if it's an older person, I generally don't scrutinize as much. But if someone, you know, in their mid-20s comes up, orders 3 drinks, I need to see your ID. I also need 2 more people and their IDs. I need the people. Don't just walk back with 3 IDs in your hand. Oh, no, good. No, I can't ID the people if they're not in front of me. Now, occasionally this will happen, and the person will say it's for my dad. Point. I'll see someone obviously 21 wave. Okay, I can see them. They're obviously 21. I'm not that worried about it. But it does go the other way as well. People that are in their 40s will buy drinks for underage. People buy drinks for their children. They'll buy drinks for their, you know, family members, stuff like that. So you do have to be aware of where all the drinks are going as well. You serve the drink. You're responsible for where it ultimately ends up. And I've had to do this tons of times. You know, most places it's not necessarily the responsibility of the bartender. You can generally get a manager to go kind of handle the situation. But I've been in situations where it was my responsibility to go take care of this. Someone walks away with 4 or 5 drinks. I look over, I see that they've put one of those drinks down in front of someone that may or may not be 21, but I didn't check their ID. Now I have to go over and say something. First thing I do, I wait for that person to actually put their hand on the drink. Because if a person puts a drink in front of them and they don't touch it, and I walk up and go, hey, do you have your ID? Someone's going to go, that's not theirs, and take it right back. It's the second I see them touch it, pick it up, that I'm going to walk over there. Hey, man, you know, I just need to check your ID to make sure you're 21. If they don't have it, take the drink away. And that's the way it goes. Inevitably, somebody at the table will say, oh, just leave it. I'll drink it. No, I can't do that. No, we'll leave it. I don't want to waste it. Basically, by law, the second someone touched it that didn't have an ID on them, they forfeit that drink. And you have to take it away. You can no longer leave it at their table. And if they give you any kind of backlash about that, it is very simply, by law, after he touched it, he did not have an ID. I have to remove it by law. And usually the by law is the part that gets them, because it's sending the message that you just broke the law. If you really want to push this, you're at fault. And it usually sets people straight, and you take the drink and just move on. A lot of times I can get a manager to do it, or even if I'm bartending and, you know, it's not my table, I'm not serving the people, but I see a drink in front of someone at the table, I'll grab a manager. Hey, make sure the server, you know, ID'd that person. We don't want to get ourselves into any trouble. So hold the ID in your hand, get a good feel for it. Second thing to look at, the picture. Please look at the picture. I can't tell you how many times I've seen doormen or bouncers take an ID just like that with their thumb over the picture, look at the birthday, hand it back, never look at the picture. Once again, I live next to a college of 25,000 students, and I'm very surprised at one of the local stores by my house. They ID everybody, but they just scan the barcode on the back. I see kids all the time come up with alcohol. I need your ID. They just hold up the back and they scan it, and they never look at the front to make sure it's the actual person in front of them. So look at the picture, make sure it's them. Now, this can get kind of tricky. This can get kind of difficult. You know, in Arizona, I lived there for several years. You get a driver's license when you're 16, and if you don't get a ticket, you don't have to renew it till you're 65. So I would ID people in their 40s and 50s, but the picture's a 16-year-old. But, you know, you could tell it was them. You could tell by the facial features. You could tell by the look of them that it is definitely the right person. That is them. You know, you could see them. I've had this come up before. Grew up in Palm Springs, California. They're very open to alternative lifestyles. I was working an event in Palm Springs one time with a buddy of mine. Everybody has to have ID coming in. Elderly woman comes up, and she is dressed to the T's. She has a beautiful evening gown, hair perfect, immaculate makeup, pearl earrings, the matching pearl necklace. She looks like she's going out on the town in 1956. Perfect, beautiful, immaculate. She hands me her ID, and the picture on the ID is a gentleman with a beard. And it was him. He had shaved his beard. He was dressed up in drag for the party. And even in that situation, by looking at the picture, I could tell by his eyes, I could tell by his nose, it was most certainly the person in the picture. It was definitely him, even though he was in costume and he was made up. So that's going to be one of the things that comes this weekend too. People are going to be made up. People are in costume. You should still be able to tell, hey, that's them. That's the person in the picture right there. So look at the picture, make sure it is the person. Third thing to look at, physical description, height, weight, eye color, hair color. Now, once again, I can change my hair color. That's pretty easy, but within a week, you can see the roots and you can tell it's different. People may be changing their eye color, putting contacts, for a party or something, and especially for a costume. But that's a really easy one. If I look at your ID and it says you got brown eyes, and I look up and you have blue eyes, and I say, hey, it says here you have brown eyes, the first words out of your mouth should be, I'm wearing contacts to change my eye color. And nothing else. Not a not a oh, not a whoa, no. I'm wearing contacts to change my eye color. You don't forget you put in those contacts. I wear glasses, I'm wearing contacts. You don't forget they're in there. You don't forget you did that. So if those aren't the first words out of the mouth, it's probably not them. But that's going to be one of your biggest helpers when people are in costume. Does the height and weight and the physical description of the person match? I have taken away IDs for this. I have had younger siblings get IDs. I've given them taken away for this. Make sure it's the person. Make sure that it matches and it has the right physical description. Fourth thing to look for, the expiration date. If it is expired, it is not valid and you cannot accept it. I get a lot of pushback on this. It kind of drives me crazy sometimes, because well, it still says I'm 26 years old. No, it doesn't. It does not say anything. It does not have valid information on it. It might as well be a blank card. So you can't accept it if it's expired. One of the reasons for it is that older siblings will give their expired IDs to younger siblings that look just like them. And that's how I got beer when I was 19. So I've done it as well. But it's a deterrent. People are less likely to give a younger sibling their actual valid ID as opposed to, oh, this one's no good, I don't need it anymore. Have fun with it. So you can't take it if it's expired, it's not valid. I have a really simple philosophy on this, and it's if you're old enough and mature enough to go out to a bar and drink, you're old enough and mature enough to renew your identification on time. And if one's not true, maybe the other's not either. So real simple on that. Can't accept that it's expired. So this is my old ID. Expired in 2019. I can't drive with this. I can't fly with this, and I can't buy alcohol with this. The only thing this is good for is teaching this class, and it's the only reason I keep it around. So you have to make sure that it is valid. It cannot be expired. And the last thing to look for, the birthday. Were they born 21 years from today? So you would have to have been born October 26th, 2001 to 21 today and going out having a good time this weekend. So, make sure that we are IDing people. Actually just went through my responsible beverage service training here in California again. It is now mandatory in California for all servers, bartenders, and managers to have alcohol awareness training, or you get punished by the ABC out here. So make sure we're IDing and make sure we're being diligent about that. Now, the other thing that comes with IDs, and this is where it gets a little hard, is that any kid can take a picture of himself with his iPhone now, send $100 to China, and they get an ID looks just like this one. It's even got the codes that swipe. It's got the barcode that works. They're pretty good, and they're kind of hard to see. Couple tells. I got one last year. It's coming apart at the edges. No. Just like I talked about, it should be pristine. Nothing you're going to do to this card, no amount of sending it to the washing machine, putting it in your pocket or anything like that is going to make this start to peel away at the sides. It was definitely not a real California ID. Just by me, just the feel of it and the fact that it was coming apart, I could tell it wasn't real just based on that. But it is kind of getting difficult. A lot of states now, especially northeastern states, have a little clear window in the corner. Some other states have a little clear window in the middle that has the person's picture in it. Those are just counterfeiting stuff that's being put in place to stop the counterfeiting. To the best of my knowledge, the ones with the clear windows have not been counterfeited yet. Once again, that's to the best of my knowledge. I don't exactly know what the counterfeiters are doing over where they live, but those should be good. I don't believe those have been counterfeited yet. For like my California ID, like this one, there is a tell on it. There is a way to tell if it's real or not, and it has to do with the holograms that are in there. So if I move it or you put it under a black light, you'll be able to see the holograms. You'll be able to see the watermarks on there. If I look at the ones on this one, I can see the words crystal clear. It says the Great Seal of the state of California. On a fake one just like this, the hologram will be there, and at first glance, you'll see it. But if you examine it closely, the words will be illegible. The words are blurry. If the words are blurry, if the holograms are blurry, it is not real. It is fake. They should be pristine. The words should be crystal clear. You should be able to read them clearly. Basically, the stamps that they're using to make these are very hard to duplicate. Imagine like trying to make plates to print your own money. It's just not that easy. You can't just sit down and make your own plates. It's a little more difficult than that. There's a little more to it than that. Same thing with the seals that they're using to make the IDs. They can make something that looks like it, but it's really hard to make it exactly perfect like they make it. So it's just kind of, not well done. So that's a big tell. If it's not crystal clear, yeah, it's not a real ID. Don't accept it. It's a fake ID. The other thing, and I picked this up actually from working in a grocery store who worked across the grocery store for a long time. Saw her a lot late at night. We talked. She's funny. I go into this place on a Friday night. She'll have 2 or 3 shopping carts full of booze that she has not sold to kids because they tried to use fake IDs on her, and she's got them and she's picked them up on it. So I was in the other day, and she taught me a little trick, which I didn't pick up on at the time, but when she explained it, it made a lot of sense. And I was standing behind, a young man in line in the grocery store. He looked about 19 to me. He was doing it right. He had tons of groceries and just like a 12-pack of Coors Light. So it's not obvious. Oh, I'm just doing my regular grocery shopping. Now, so I'm paying attention because I'm betting he's not 21. And I know that she is a stickler for IDs, and I know she's very good at catching them. So I'm really paying attention to this entire transaction. I see him open his wallet. I can see his real ID, and it's straight up and down. They turn it sideways when you turn 21. So I can see his real ID in his wallet when he opens it. So immediately I know he's not 21. What does he do? Just what I talked about. Reaches to the back, pulls a card from the back. The second he does that, she knows he's not. She knows too. He's not giving her a real ID. Hands it to her. She takes one look and goes, "Really?" And just goes to hand it back. And he goes, "What?" She goes, "This isn't real." And the kid gave her some pushback. Got in a little argument. "What do you mean it's real?" "No, it's not real." And he kept arguing. And she said, "Okay, you really want to do this? Okay." And she went and got a piece of paper, and she got a pen. And she said, "Sign that piece of paper the same way you signed at the DMV when you signed for this ID." And he couldn't do it. And the reason he couldn't do it, because your signature is going to look a lot different if you signed it with that electric pen at the DMV, or if you tried to do it with your finger on your phone or your iPad or your computer. If you've ever tried to sign anything on a computer or an iPad, it looks nothing like your written signature that you do with a pen or a pencil. So it's a real easy tell. If that signature is all bubbly, like someone did it on a computer, someone probably did it on a computer and not at the DMV. If it's done at the DMV, it'll be a real signature. You'll be able to tell that it was done with a pen and not done with someone's finger on an iPad or a computer or something like that. So those are just some things to kind of be aware of and think about, as we go into this holiday weekend, as we go into Halloween, and have a good time and make sure everybody's having fun out there. Just make sure we're being safe. We're looking for the signs of intoxication, right? We're, checking IDs, make sure everybody's drinking at least 21. And, we're not letting anybody get too drunk or get to the point where, you're having problems or they become a liability. And that's the biggest thing. If they become a liability, they put you and other people, in the place in jeopardy of getting injured or running into problems. So gonna get some water real quick. So I wanted to try a couple Halloween cocktails here today. Give it a go. Let me grab my stuff here. So a couple of these I've done before on Halloween episodes, but I wanted to try something new and one that I hadn't tried before. So we're gonna give this one a go, and we're gonna see how it turns out. We're gonna see if I can get this to work properly the way I want it to. So we'll see if this happens. So I'm gonna make a cocktail here in my bucket glass called a Haunted Graveyard. What better drink name for Halloween than to have a haunted graveyard cocktail? So I'm gonna grab my handy dandy mixing tin here. Gonna get my ice out like this. All my stuff here. Okay. Cut board. All right, so we're gonna do our haunted graveyard. So I'm gonna grab my handy dandy mixing tin. Go ahead and grab an ice scooper and throw a little ice in here. And once again, I don't want to do too full, just about 2/3 away with ice. I don't want it to be too full. I want to make sure I can lock my pint glass in there and give it a good shake. So actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go back. Let's not put ice in there. We've got to start in the mixing tin. Just going to start with the empty because I forgot that I am going to muddle some stuff in here. So I'm going to throw in a sprig of rosemary from my garden in there like that. I'm also going to throw in a couple oranges. A couple pieces of oranges in there, just like that. Then we're going to add some bitters. Throw a couple dashes of that in there. We got our orange, we got our bitters, we've got our rosemary, and then we're going to put a little maple syrup in there to give it some sweetness. And just a little in there, just like that. And now I'm not using real alcohol in here. This is just colored water that I got out here because we don't want to waste anything. So I've got my bitters, I've got my orange, I've got my rosemary, I've got my maple syrup in there. We're going to give it a nice muddle and get this stuff nice and mashed up. Nicely in there like that. Get that sprig down there. Perfect. And I can grind it up a little bit, mash it up a little bit. You know, if I'm leaving the stuff in the drink, I try not to grind it up too much. But since I'm going to double strain this and get all the matter out of it, just be left liquid, I'm going to give it a nice good muddle, get that stuff all in together. All right, so now I'm ready to get my ice in here, get going on my cocktail. So once again, just about 2/3 the way full. I don't want to overfill it. Don't want it to be too high. And we're going to go ahead and do 1.5 ounces here of what our would-be bourbon. So we'll grab our faux Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels not actually bourbon. Please don't call it bourbon. It's made in Tennessee. It says Tennessee whiskey right on it. People from Tennessee get really, really upset if you refer to it as bourbon. So, okay, make sure I'm going with my instructions. So I've got all my ingredients here. I've got my stuff. We're going to go ahead and pop in the handy dandy pint glass here. Come back towards myself, give a nice good shake. Get that stuff mixed up, diluted, everything in there. Chance for that maple syrup to dissolve into my cocktail. All right. All right. I'll take this here and let me grab a strainer. And we're going to give this a nice double strain over some fresh ice. That's perfect. Got the double strainer. Go ahead and we're going to take out all that stuff in there that's not liquid, that's not part of it, that we don't want to end up in our finished cocktail. A little shake, a little more drip out every time. I watch a lot of videos and I see a lot of bartenders do this number where they'll take the bottom of this and mash the stuff through. Please don't do that. It's not clean. It's been on your hands. You've been touching it. I can simply get a little tap, knock all that stuff through. If I really, really, really have to mash it through, take your masher, mash it through. That's what it's there for. Please don't use the bottom of the mixing tin. So throw all this stuff out. Got our graveyard cocktail there. And I'm going to give it a couple straws. And then we're going to give this a try and see if this works. So I took a little piece of rosemary and picked it last night, tried to leave it out here so it would dry out a little bit. And once again, haven't tried this. This is a little experimental. So we'll see if I can get it to light on fire and smoke. I'm not sure if I got it to dry out enough by leaving it overnight. And there we go. Take a piece of smoking rosemary, like that. And we're going to garnish our cocktail with the piece of smoking rosemary. So it's got some smoke coming out of it. And there we go. We have our haunted graveyard cocktail with our little bit of smoking rosemary. So we can smoke a little more. With our little bit of smoking rosemary on top there. Didn't work too bad. All right, that was experimental. Kind of worked there. So we've got our haunted graveyard. Great, great one. Let's try another one. Let's do a corpse reviver. So you need something to bring you back after a long Halloween evening. What better than a corpse reviver? So this is a drink made with absinthe. There's another one, of course, too, that I was thinking about doing, but it's pretty easy, if you want to do it, called Death in the Afternoon. Is invented by Ernest Hemingway. It's just absinthe and champagne. Really easy in a champagne flute, little absinthe. Absinthe was banned for a long time in the United States. They lifted the ban in 2007 because an ingredient called wormwood. Degoe, Van Gogh, Edgar Allan Poe, Hemingway, a lot of very creative, unstable people were big fans of absinthe, and that's why it was banned for a long time. So if you are getting absinthe, the key is to make sure it says with real wormwood. That is the key to it. So I've got my handy dandy martini glass here. I'm gonna throw some ice in here and just let this glass start to chill here while I go ahead and build my cocktail. I'm gonna throw a little water in there. And in there. So put that to the side. Let that start to chill while we work on our cocktail. So to do our corpse reviver, once again, grab some ice here in our mixing pan. Not too much, I don't want to overdo it. There we go. And we're going to start with an ounce of gin. Now, I've got some clear here. That's going to represent our ounce of gin. Then we're going to need some fresh lemon juice. So I've got a lemon here. And I don't have my squeezer here, but we will make it work anyway. And I'm going to take that label off there. And we're just going to cut this in half. And I'm just going to squeeze this whole lemon in there. And as a rule of thumb, half a lemon, half a lime is about half an ounce of juice. So I'm going to squeeze the whole lemon in there. It's going to be about 1 ounce of juice here in our cocktail. All right, so we've got our gin, we've got our lemon juice in there. Strain our thing. And the last thing we're going to add is some orange liqueur. Now, I'm just going to use some clear here to represent our orange liqueur. It says specifically to use Cointreau or a brandy-based orange liqueur. And what they mean by brandy-based orange liqueur is something like Grand Marnier. Grand Marnier is mixed with cognac, gives it a little different flavor. That's why it has a little bit of a different color to it. So something like that. They also make knockoffs, Grand Gala, and different ones like that. And then, of course, we have to add a little bit of our green absinthe to give it a little bit of a green color. Gonna pop our glass in there. Give it a nice good shake, get that all mixed up, diluted. All right, we'll throw our ice out here. And get sure. All right, and we will strain out our corpse reviver. Sure to bring you back to life for a nice, enjoyable Halloween night out. A little shake, a little more will come out every time, just like that. And let's finish this off with a nice orange twist if we can. Can't find that dealer. We'll give it a nice orange on the side. There we go. There we go. Nice little piece of orange. And we have our Corpse Reviver cocktail. All right. And of course, got to get a napkin for it there. All right. So I want to try this one because I just like the way that this one kind of works out. Let's see if I can do this. See if I can get my twist properly. Take a little. Make this work. I'm just taking a little lime peel off here. See if I can make this work properly. And what we're going to do is a cocktail called a jack-o'-lantern. There we go. And get a little lime twist. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to do our jack-o'-lantern cocktail. Going to go ahead and grab my bucket glass. I'm going to rinse out my stuff here. Fresh mix of 10. So to do our jack-o'-lantern, I'm gonna throw some ice in here. And we're gonna do just 1.5 ounces of brandy. So brandy looks about like whiskey. This will work for us. We'll do our 1.5 ounces in there, just like that. And then we're also gonna need, once again, they say like a brandy-based, something like Grand Marnier, a little bit of 1/2 ounce of some orange liqueur in there. Brandy-based orange liqueur, something like Grand Marnier. And then we're going to do some fresh orange juice. Just like that. All right. And we're going to give this a nice shake, get it nice and mixed up. You can also do the underhanded shake like this, if that works better for you. Get it nice and mixed up in there. And this is not too hard to do, but it's really fun. Kind of getting to do kind of the demonstration here, the presentation, I should say. So we're going to go ahead and strain our mixture out here. And then we come back out and top this off with some ginger ale. Now, why this drink is fun and I like it, it's really all about this part. It's all about putting this garnish on it. So if I go ahead and just take a full slice of my orange, just like that. I can take my lime peel here, my lime twist, and I can roll it up. It's a little long. Take a little bit off that. Roll it up like this. And you can stick it in the middle of the orange. Come on, work for me. I'm gonna try another two. Do this one more time. All right, take my lime twist, roll it up. Come on, it's fighting me. One more time. I cannot get my cold fingers to do this. I roll it up, stick it in the middle of the orange, and I set it on top. It kind of gives the effect of a jack-o'-lantern with the little orange top and kind of looks like a pumpkin there sitting on top of my cocktail. As the twist comes apart. And it doesn't want to stay in there. Really cool effect, really fun thing to do. Do our cocktail. Kind of looks like a jack-o'-lantern, got the little top on it. All right, one more. Just gonna do this one fun real quick. All right, cool. So I'm gonna do this with a martini glass. And I like this one. I think I did this one last year. I'm gonna chill my martini glass here. And what we're gonna do is make candy corn cocktail. So put that guy off its side. So yes, candy corn, nobody likes them. They're pretty disgusting. I don't think they're very good at all, but we can make a drink that kind of resembles a candy corn. So I've got my glass chilling here. I'm going to rinse out my mixing tin. and get fresh start here. So we'll grab some ice here in our handy dandy mixing pan. And what we want to do for this is get some whipped cream or vanilla vodka. You know, I know Smirnoff makes a whipped cream vodka. Pinnacle also makes a whipped cream vodka. So if we did 1.5 ounces of our whipped cream vodka there. We're going to do just a little splash of sweet and sour mix in there like that. And then we're going to put some orange juice, once again, some fresh OJ in there. Just like that. And we'll lock it in here. We'll give it a nice shake, get that stuff nice and mixed up in there. Throw our ice water out, a nice chilled glass. Pour out our cocktail. And this is where this one gets fun. So we can take our grenadine and let some grenadine fall to the bottom. Just like that. Into the bottom of it, I'm going to do just a little bit more. The grenadine's heavy. The grenadine will fall through the rest of the stuff. So we have our grenadine at the bottom. And then if we top it with whipped cream on top, we have our candy corn cocktail, our red, yellow, white on top. And I even found this year some candy corns to go on top to decorate our candy corn cocktail. Just like that. Put one more right on the top there. So there you go. That's our candy corn cocktail. So these are just some Halloween ideas for Halloween cocktails that you can try at home or try at the bar you work at. Thank you very much for watching. I believe next week we're actually going to move it till Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern time, because I have a conflict on Wednesday. So it'll be the Wednesday weekly learning session on Tuesday next week. Tune in. Otherwise, have a great week, everybody. Stay safe. Have a very fun Halloween, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much.